Hello again, everybody. Andrew Rogers here for TST Total Sports Talk. This is your NFL Game Picks episode of TST this week. Thank you very much for joining me, as always. Crazy week one in the NFL. It was all over the board, fantasy football-wise. Even just in the regular NFL, there was a lot of surprising scores, some that weren't so surprising. You had a lot of guys go down to injuries, and we also had a canceled game last week in Miami between Tampa Buccaneers and the Miami Dolphins that got canceled and moved to Week 11 of the NFL season when both teams are on a bye, November 19th. So last week there was 15 games in total. I had a decent week with my game picks. I gotta say, I went 11-4. Let's just have a recap here of the ones I won and the ones I lost. The Kansas City Chiefs were a winner. Buffalo Bills, I picked the Washington Redskins. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. I was right on the Raiders, the Lions, the Falcons, the Steelers, the Rams, the Packers, the Panthers, Cowboys, Saints losing, and the Broncos. So Broncos, Cowboys, Panthers, Packers, Rams, Steelers, Falcons, Lions, Raiders, Bills, and Chiefs are the 11 victories that I received when in the picks there. The Eagles, Jaguars, Ravens, and Vikings all spoiling the party for me to go 15-0. That would have been nice. But maybe that's what I can do this week. Let's have a look now then at the matchups for this week. There are a good slate of games. One thing to keep in mind here, there are 2 games on the schedule that I'm going to pick from that may or may not be played come Sunday. That is a Jacksonville Jaguars home game against the Tennessee Titans that may get canceled due to the after effects of Hurricane Irma, as well as a game in Tampa Bay between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears. Tampa Bay at risk at having their first 2 games of the season moved due to the effects of Hurricane Irma there. So we'll keep an eye on those, obviously. The NFL has a decision to make, and they have not yet made that decision on whether or not they are going to move or relocate these 2 football games that are slated to go on Sunday. Let's start with the Thursday nighter. You got the Houston Texans on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals at 8:25 over on the NFL Network. Both teams come in sporting records of 0-1. The Houston Texans have already announced that Deshaun Watson, the rookie QB, is going to start in this one in place of Tom Savage, who lasted all of a quarter. It seemed it was pretty awful. They go up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are having their own quarterback issues. Andy Dalton threw for 4 interceptions last week in a humiliating loss, and he needs to be better, no question about it. Maybe he can rebound on Thursday night to kick off week number 2. I am picking the Houston Texans in this one. The Sunday slate of games gets started with the Cleveland Browns visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Cleveland comes in 0-1. Baltimore 1-0 after their shutout victory of the Cincinnati Bengals last week. Cleveland Browns having come in, making it close against Pittsburgh Steelers. I really expected it to be closer last week, but they made it a 3-point game late and ultimately fell to the Steelers. They are 0-1. I'm liking Baltimore in this matchup. I think Baltimore looks really good in week number 1, and I think they'll duplicate that in week number 2. Our third matchup of the week has Buffalo Bills traveling to Carolina to face off against Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. That goes at 1 p.m. over on CBS. I like Tyrod Taylor's game, and I like the Buffalo Bills game in general against the New York Jets. They look very dominating. Same can be said for the Carolina Panthers, 23-3 over the 49ers last week. Both teams 1-0. I like the Bills. Give the Bills a slight edge in this one to come out victorious. Our next game has the Arizona Cardinals in Indianapolis against the Indianapolis Colts. Unsure as to who's going to be at center for the Indianapolis Colts in this one, whether it be Scott Tolzien or Jacoby Brissett. It's unsure at this point. Regardless, I don't think they win this one. I think even though Arizona has lost David Johnson for the next 2 to 3 months due to a wrist injury he suffered in week number 1, they are forming a running back committee that now features Kerwin Williams, Andre Ellington, and the returning Chris Johnson. Yes, that's right. CJ2K is back for the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be a full-on running back committee. I don't know who's going to get the bulk of the carries in that one, but I think regardless of the fact, Arizona will come out with the full arsenal and take it to the Colts. They move to 1-1 on the season after a victory. Like I say, Jacksonville Jaguars host the Tennessee Titans. Jaguars, top of the AFC South. Unbelievable. They're 1-0. Each other team is 0-1. They face off against the Titans, also in that division. If this game goes down, I really see Jacksonville pulling this one out. They looked very good against the Houston Texans in week number 1. I see them looking exactly as good in week number 2. Even with the loss of Allen Robinson, you got to it's unfortunate. Allen Robinson has been a big target of Blake Bortles over the last few years. He's out for the year with a torn ACL. And you know what? They're going to need other guys to step up. Guys like Allen Hurns, he's going to need to step up. I really like their running back, Leonard Fournette. He looked really good in his debut, rushing for 100 yards and a touchdown. Looked very good. But I like the Jacksonville Jaguars in this matchup. Good matchup here, too. Eagles and the Chiefs in Kansas City. Both teams at 1-0. Both teams look very, very strong in week number 1. Got to give the slight edge, though, to Kansas City for how dominating they looked against the New England Patriots last week. Kareem Hunt looked like the real deal. Alex Smith didn't look like normal check down Alex. It was very good to see from the Kansas City Chiefs, and I liked their game against the New England Patriots. Same could be said for the Eagles. Eagles looked very good last week against the Washington Redskins. I was very proud of Carson Wentz. He had a great game, and they looked very, very good top to bottom. Their defense was phenomenal, and you know what? This game's going to be good. It's going to come down to the wire. Expect Kansas City Chiefs to come out on top in this one. On the flip side of that, you got the New England Patriots traveling to New Orleans to face off against Drew Brees and the Saints. Both teams come into this matchup 0-1. I would not have expected this come week 2, that both these teams would be 0-1. Couple devastating losses, obviously, for the Patriots, really flat in their opening game. And you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New Orleans Saints, that looked really flat against the Minnesota Vikings. Give the Saints a slight edge only because they're at home, and I expect them to rebound more than the Patriots will in this one. Saints for the victory there. Another matchup, a stellar matchup between two 1-0 teams. You got the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Bradford coming in after throwing 3 TDs in week 1 against the Saints, facing off against Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers. High-powered offense. They're going to need more from Le'Veon Bell. He was kind of lackluster in last week's week 1 win over Cleveland. Antonio Brown had a wonderful game, though. 11 receptions, 182 yards for him. No touchdowns. Hopefully he can find the end zone, and that will be the difference. Pittsburgh Steelers to win in this one. Bears at the Bucks. Tampa Bay looking to play their first game of the season. Not really sure what to expect from them. From what I've been reading, though, before the season started, is that they were expecting a big season from Jameis Winston and company. I expect them to come out on top in their opening game of the season against the hapless Chicago Bears team, who's just been decimated with injuries early on. They lost Kevin White, a stud wide receiver. They also lost Cameron Meredith in the preseason. Who knows who's going to show up for the Chicago Bears this week, but it won't be enough to take over and defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's my pick, Tampa Bay, in this one. The 4 o'clock slate games are get underway with Miami Dolphins in their debut in the 2017 NFL season. They travel to Los Angeles to face off against Phillip Rivers and the LA Chargers, who just missed out beating the Denver Broncos. They had a game-tying field goal go through, and unfortunately was called back on a timeout that was called by Denver head coach Vance Joseph, and iced the kicker. The subsequent retry was blocked by the Denver defense, and Denver come out on top 24-21 over the Chargers. Chargers are 0-1. I like Miami, though. Miami, you know what? There's something about them that's scary. Jai, the running back, had a phenomenal year last year. He broke off some 200-yard-plus games. I don't quite see him going for 200 yards against the Chargers, but he will have an incredible game this upcoming Sunday. Watch for Jay Cutler to be good. You know, this guy, he was mulling retirement. He did eventually retire. Dolphins lost Ryan Tannehill for the year, and Jay Cutler was forced out of retirement. He's reunited with Adam Gase on the sidelines. The Dolphins will come out on top in this one. Our next game has the New York Jets traveling to Oakland to face off against the 1-0 Oakland Raiders. The Raiders look very good in week number 1. The Jets did not. Oakland Raiders will win in this one. Derek Carr, 2 touchdowns last week. Expect him to duplicate that performance, if not add more. He will be very good. And the Raiders team, top to bottom, will be very good. Watch for Marshawn Lynch to maybe have a 100-yard game in this one. I could definitely see that being a possibility. Raiders come out on top. Phenomenal 425 matchup. Again, you got the Dallas Cowboys into Denver to face off against the 1-0 Denver Broncos, a pair of 1-0 teams. This one's a coin flip. You really could go either way on this one. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Denver Broncos. Brandon McManus missed a chip shot, 50-yarder last week that could have given him a 6-point lead to spare with so that to put the game a little bit more out of reach. He unfortunately missed. I see him coming back with a vengeance and hitting a massive, massive long field goal to seal the victory for the Denver Broncos in this one. Pick them against the Cowboys. Washington Redskins are in LA to face off against the LA Rams. Redskins come in 0-1. LA Rams 1-0 after a trouncing of the Indianapolis Colts 46-9. I expect them to be just as good, if not better. I don't expect them to put up 50+, but I believe that they will outscore the Washington Redskins, who looked anemic against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. The 49ers are in Seattle to face off against the Seattle Seahawks. You got to give the one to the Seattle on this one. That's my pick here. Seattle is going to come in hungry after losing to the Packers last week in Lambeau. 49ers didn't really put up much of a fight last week against the Carolina Panthers and only put up 3 points on offense. Look for the Seahawks to dominate early and come out with a victory. In that one, it's at 425 over on Fox. The Sunday Nighter on NBC is a beauty. You got the Green Bay Packers, who are 1-0 into Atlanta to face off against Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, a couple of 1-0 teams. This one, again, another coin flip. I like the Green Bay Packers to come out on top. Aaron Rodgers is still clutch, and this team will be coming out on guns a-blazing. Look for a big score. I'm really hoping you have a big, massive shootout in one of these games. I tried to predict a couple last week, didn't happen. This one will feature a shootout. I'm expecting at least 70 points combined from these two teams. Our final game that wraps up week number 2 in the NFL is the Detroit Lions into New York to face off against the New York Football Giants. Lions come in 1-0. Giants are 0-1. The Detroit Lions look very good. Matt Stafford in particular, 4 touchdowns on 292 yards passing. Looked very good. He looked like the NFL's most highest paid player, which he did, which he became when he inked that extension right before the season started. Expect Detroit to come out on top in this one. It should be a slugfest. It'll be entertaining, no doubt, but the Detroit Lions will prevail. So those are my picks. Texans, Ravens, Bills, Cardinals, Jaguars, Chiefs, Saints, Steelers, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Raiders, Broncos, LA Rams, Seahawks, Packers, and the Detroit Lions. We'll see how it goes. I'm really not sure. I just give my gut instinct and give my opinion on what I think is going to be the outcome. This is purely just picks. I'm not going off a point spread. I'm not saying, oh, maybe they'll cover the spread. No. It's just a pick 'em, we'll win them. If they win outright, that's a win for me. That's a win towards my record. Not bad in the first week, 11-4. I'm hoping for an improvement in week number 2. We'll see what happens. Andrew Rogers signing off for this week's NFL Game Picks for TST Total Sports Talk. Of course, I'm reminding you to keep your head up and keep your stick on the ice. We'll see you next time.